Hey everybody, it's Jason with the Board Game Mechanics, and today I want to talk to you about my top 10 favorite Queen games. Now, this week on the podcast, we talked about something that Tom Vassell said. He said, Queen makes Stefan Feld games and bad games. So, that got me thinking, are all the Queen games that I like Stefan Feld games, or are there other ones that I like? So, I looked at all the ones that I played that I like, and I made a top 10. They're not all Feld games. Spoiler. So, without further ado, let's start this bad boy at number 10. Number 10 is a real-time dice rolling game called Escape, the Curse of the Temple, or something like that. It's on the screen. And this is effectively a game where you are rolling dice, trying to basically get through this temple to earn treasure. I've only played it a couple times, but I really like it. You're trying to get these treasure here, and you're rolling dice to move through these rooms. You can get yourself frozen. People have to help you out, and you're trying to do it before time runs out. That's it. I love rolling dice. I love games about Indiana Jones, effectively, and that's kind of what this does. It's not my favorite game. It's the reason it's number 10, but it is fun, so I wanted to include it. So my number 10 is Escape, Curse of the Temple. Number 9 is actually a game that I haven't gotten to play more than once, mostly because it's not my style of game, and that is Shogun Big Box. This is a game, it has an awesome cube tower where you're going to be throwing these awesome cubes. Those are meeples, but you're going to be putting a bunch of cubes into the tower. Let me see if I can find a better picture, because it's not going to do you any justice here. Yeah, let's look at this. So you're going to be throwing these cubes here into this tower, and what comes out is going to determine the outcome of a battle. It's basically an area control game. You're trying to control these different territories. There's some cool card placement programming that you're going to put on this board, and whatever card you put down is the action that you're going to take with that, but it may make them angry, cause them to rise up, and all that kind of thing. It's a fun game. I had a great time the one time that I did play with real people. I played it by myself a few times, but it's not the same. But I do enjoy it. I like to play it more. I just never get off the table. So my number 9 is Shogun Big Box. Number 8 is actually a prequel to a game that we'll talk about later from Queen, and this is called Liguria. And this is a game about collecting paint to paint a fresco, spoiler, that might come up later, on the ceiling of this chapel. And what you're doing is you are going to be moving around these different islands in these boats, collecting paints, setting up different actions on these boards. You're going to be playing cards that determine kind of how far you can move around. Everybody has their own little depot. You're going to have stuff behind. You're going to be collecting tokens to make your action stronger. It's a pretty interesting little game. I don't play it a ton because I always forget, and then I never want to relearn it. But it's a fun game, and it's a direct prequel to, spoiler, Fresco, which is higher on the list. So that's kind of why I picked it up. It was cheap. It had some cool pick up and deliver mechanisms, and I'm a sucker for that. So that's why it's on my list at number, whatever number it is, 8, Liguria. Number 7 is a game that I like, and not many other people in my game group like, and that's sad because I really enjoy it. And that is Parfum. I actually got rid of it. I had the expansion for a while too, which is like impossible to find. And this is a game about making perfume. And you are basically collecting these dice. On your turn, you're going to grab some dice, and you're going to be trying to make different, you get this outcome here in different formulas to make some perfume. So you can see, in order to make this one here, I have to roll a red or a purple and a black. If I can do that, I can make this perfume, which is a bottom of a bottle and worth 3 money. And then eventually you're going to have a full bottle of perfume, and you're going to sell them to customers. So you can see, like this, once this is full, then there's going to be customers right here who are looking for certain colors, types of perfume. If you have that type of perfume, you can sell it to them and score points. It's a really simple game. I like it quite a bit. I love rolling dice. I like everything that this game does. I don't know why my group doesn't like it, but there you are. So I don't have it anymore, but as far as Queen games go, in my opinion, this is a good one. So my number, again, I can't remember the numbers, 7, Parfum. Number 6 is also a game that I haven't played a ton. Now, it's no fault of the game. It's just I have a lot of games, and this is one that I just don't take off the shelf a lot because, oh, actually, I do still have Parfum. I just looked over there. I do still have it. But This game is called Queen's Architect. Spoiler on the screen. And this is a game where you are basically racing to do all these contracts. You're trying to race up this little track here to be the first to get to the top. And you're going to be doing that by recruiting workers that are these interesting little rondelle pieces that as they work, they're either going to get stronger or weaker. And they may eventually tire out. Then they have to go to like a tavern. You're going to be moving around to these different locations using workers to fulfill these needs of the queen. You can hire new workers. That's effectively you're hiring workers, using the workers to do work. They're going to move you up these tracks. Whoever makes it to the top first is the winner. There's this cool little player board here that does some funky things too. There's more going on than what I said here, but at its heart, you're recruiting workers, using those workers to complete contracts to score points. That's it. It's really fun. I would like to play it more. I need to get it off the shelf and relearn it. That's part of it. It's under the radar for a Queen game. It's really fun. It has Queen in the name too, which is fun. But yeah, if you have a chance to check this out, we got it for a super crazy deal. Actually, most of the games that we have from Queen, we got for like $5 at some point. And this one's well worth it. So my number 6, again, with the numbers, Queen's Architect. Now we're getting into the good ones. This is the top 5. And my number 5 is actually a game that I lost a piece. So I went online. Somebody was selling a game. I said, hey, throw the game away. Just send me all the components because I need the component that I'm missing. And that game is Neptune. This is a really interesting game. This is a route building game where you're trying to get goods. You're basically planning this route of a location and a type of good that you're trying to deliver. And you're trying to do it all in one route. So like if I'm going to say this is my first stop, I need to make sure it's my first stop. Now the way the game works is on your turn, you're going to be playing a card. You're going to have a card on your routes here. So the cards are going to look like this. I need to go here. I'm going to sell grapes. Okay, if I sell grape, I'll get two money. But as the game plays, you're going to be playing these cards that are going to have this. So it's going to decrease or increase the wind. That determines how many extra spaces you can move, and then it'll give you a movement base. So that's going to determine how far you're going to be able to move your boat. So you're trying to manage the card play with where you need to go to be able to deliver all these goods. And ultimately, you're trying to move around these palaces here to score these tokens. There's some extra boats and all that kind of thing, but you're trying to move across. And there's numbers here, how many movement it takes to get from place to place. It's a really fun game. I enjoy it. It needs 3 players. It's a little funky. The programming is a little tricky, but for my money, this is a fantastic game. And I like it quite a bit, enough to rebuy the pieces a second time. So yeah, my number 5, I'm certain of that number, is Neptune. Now I alluded to my number 4 earlier with Liguria, and my number 4 is Fresco. And this is a game where you are painting like a Michelangelo, the Sistine Chapel type deal. Same kind of thing. You're painting this awesome mural on the ceiling. And the way that this game works is it's a programming game of sorts. You're going to determine how early in the morning you want to wake up. And then behind your screen, you're going to send workers out. Hopefully my internet doesn't crap out. You're going to send workers out to these different spots to determine which action that you're going to take. So like, for example, this player wants to paint, so they're sending 3 workers out to paint. That's how many action points of that action they can do. They're not going to do this. They're not going to mix paints. They're not going to do this action, but they want to do these actions, and they want to do this many of those actions. So then you're going to program. And then everybody's going to reveal, and people are going to take turns in the order that they woke up doing those actions. And you're effectively just trying to paint a bunch of paints. You're trying to paint the picture here. All these tiles, they need certain kinds of paint. You're going to be acquiring paint here. You're going to be moving up some tracks, mixing paints, painting some portraits if you're using that module. I'm not sure if that's a module. I always play with it. But you're just mixing paints and painting pictures, trying to have the most points at the end of the game. That's it. This is a fantastic game. We have a few expansions. We don't play it nearly enough. But if you haven't ever played this game, I recommend it because it is a ton of fun. And it has a lot of mechanisms that a lot of games now, like after this came out, when this came out. I'm not sure when this came out. 2010. So in 14 years, there have been a lot of mechanisms from this game that other games since then have been using. So that's what kind of game this is. It's classic for a reason. So my number 4, Fresco. My number 3 is one of the first Queen games that we had. And we picked it up only because you pull chits out of a bag, and I love that. And the game is Thebes. This is effectively Indiana Jones in a box. You are acquiring knowledge at these different locations around the board. So, you're going to these different locations. You're spending time to do it. Let me zoom that in a little bit. Oh, that's terrible. You're spending time to do it. So whoever's farthest back in time gets to go. The Takedo mechanism. And you're trying to get books. Blue books will help you dig in the blue site. Yellow books will help you dig in Egypt because it's yellow. There's other mechanisms. And eventually you're going to dig into this bag by spending time and knowledge to be able to pull out tokens, look like that, to try to ultimately get some treasure to score points. That's it. There's a little bit more to the game, but not much. You're collecting cards at these different locations, then you're going to use the knowledge and the time that you have to go digging and hope to not just dig up dirt. I love this game. It's a ton of fun. Every time I play it, I enjoy it. It's easy to teach, it's easy to play, and it never outstays its welcome. So my number 3 is Thebes. So you can't have a best of Queen games list without some Stefan Feld. So it should be no surprise that my top 2 are my number 1 after this. My number 2 is Amerigo. This is another game on the cube tower. You are throwing cubes from different actions into the tower. You're going to start with brown and move around, I think, or black and move around. I'm not sure. You start with one of them and you move around. And you're going to throw all the cubes in the tower. Whatever color comes out are the actions that you can take. Whatever color has the most is the strength of that action. And you're trying to get cannons to fight off pirates. You're trying to get goods. You're trying to move up this track. It's like a wild action that you can take when you do white. You're trying to acquire tiles that are red. You're going to get green tiles that you're going to build onto this map because you're trying to build your houses on this map and set up trading posts to score points. There's a whole lot of stuff going on, but in typical Feld fashion, it's fantastic. So this is a great game. If you haven't tried it, you should. The cube tower makes it worth it. It's not really a looker, but it's a ton of fun. So my number 2, Amerigo. Number 1, no surprise, Merlin. Merlin is a fantastic game. This is Stefan Feld co-designed with Michael Reineck. And this is effectively Stefan Feld's take on a roll and move. You're going to be using a die to move your knight around the round table clockwise. That's the color die. Your Merlin die will allow Merlin to move either way. The spot that you sit at the round table is the action that you're going to take. You're trying to do some area control of these different locations. You're trying to get flags. You're trying to get cubes so you can build. You're trying to get shields to defend yourself against bad guys. You're trying to build in this little biome thing here. These are the bad guys that you're trying to fight off. Whole bunch of stuff going on. There's just points. There's contracts you're trying to fulfill. Everything that a good Stefan Feld game has, this has it. Plus roll and move. It's not really roll and move, but that's kind of what it feels like. But there is mitigation. There's apples that you can change the die to whatever you want. There's a couple expansions. We have Arthur, which adds another die. Lets you move around Arthur and another inside to this rondelle. There's another piece that goes inside, so it's a double rondelle. It's really cool. This game is fantastic. I know it's kind of divisive and a lot of people don't like it. I don't know why. For my money, this is one of the best Stefan Feld games out there. It's so good. Yes, it's got a lot going on. Yes, it's expensive. But in spite of all of that, I love this game. This game is fantastic. And this is by far my number 1 game from Queen Games that I've played. Again, there are some that I haven't played that I may like more. But this, Merlin, is fantastic. So, there you go. Okay, so those were 10 games from Queen Games that I love, and they're not all Stefan Feld games. So there are 8 other games that are not Stefan Feld that if you're into board games, you can check out from Queen. They do have a lot of bad games. I'll give Tom that. They do have a lot of Stefan Feld games, and that's kind of what all they're doing now is the Stefan Feld City series. But occasionally they'll squeak out another one. And there are some on here that I didn't include in my top 10, like Alhambra. Good game. I don't really love it. Kingdom Builder. People like it. Copenhagen, just to name a few that are also decent games that are outside of my top 10. So there you go. So those are my top 10 Queen games. I'm Jason with the Board Game Mechanics. And as always, keep gaming.